Another day, another modification. This one I've been waiting for a long time. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, do me a huge favor, go out and subscribe. Today, we finally have bucket seats for my Miata. Let's get this seat out of the package. Let's get the Miata into the garage and take a look at what we gotta do. Cut the box open. We have my first ever bucket seat, and it's a Sparaco. For those who do not know, the Miata has very few seat options you can go with. Under the wrapping, we have a Sparaco Sprint, and to accompany that, we have the seat rails from Jazz Performance. All right, so we've got the Miata in the garage. We have Miata number 2 outside, and well, it's gonna be dark here in about 10 minutes, but we have the shop lights inside, so we should be fine. Let's take a look at the seats right now. This seat has a foamectomy, meaning all the foam is taken out, and while the most of the interior is all in pieces. All right, so we've got the hard top off the car. Let's talk a little bit about the interior. This interior is still pretty taken apart. Carpet's apart, center console still out of the car. The biggest piece of this interior period though, is going to be getting the stock seats out and putting some nice buckets in. Keep in mind, the reason why I'm changing the seats is because I plan to track and autocross the car. Otherwise, I probably would leave the stock seats in. They're actually really good seats. One of my favorite things about the Miata is this is all you need to take the seat out. 14mm, and there's a bolt just on each corner of the seat. Literally 4 bolts and the seat just comes out. So you can see right here, these are specifically made for Sparaco seats. The beauty of these right here is they're gonna take those stock rails, mount up to the stock rails in the new Sparaco seat. One of the downsides of these is you're not gonna get a ton more leg room and more height. That's not something I was really looking for, because with the foamectomy, I think it's going to be pretty damn similar, and I'm 6 foot and I have no problems whatsoever with a smaller steering wheel in the car now rubbing anywhere. So I think it's a perfect height to be at. Some people like to be lower. I don't really care for low. I like functionality. Having the ability to use the stock rails and go back and forth with having different people drive my car, I think is going to be the most ideal position, because if you mount it straight to the ground, you can't adjust the seat going back and forth. So if someone else drives your car that's significantly taller or shorter than you, it's not gonna be 100% comfortable for them. Now, I don't really let too many people drive my car, but on the rare occasion that one of my friends may wanna drive or someone I know might wanna drive and I let them drive the car, I wanna have the ability for them to be comfortable and enjoy the car. So sliding the rail all the way forward, there's 1 bolt here, and then having the rail all the way right there, there's the other bolt. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when the rails are misaligned, they're almost impossible to get back in, and it's super annoying unless you have it open like this. So these right here are actually not 14s, but they are going to be 12mm. So now we got the seat flipped upside down, and we can access the ones on the top. So there's a cord holding the 2 of them together. That's why I'm actually holding this up. And now we got the rails off. So after reading this and just ensuring that everything is as easy as I thought it would be, there is one thing that we gotta keep in mind. There is one single rail in the Jazz Performance kit that is a little different, and that's going to be for the left side, the left seat. In my case, in America, the driver's seat. Also, we have hardware. So this is the narrow bracket. There are 3 that are going to look exactly the same. Now, if we come and take a look at the last one, instead of having the narrow bit like this, it has a fatter end. As you can see, both ends are pretty fat. So this is going to go closest to the tunnel on this seat because this is the driver's seat. Now, before we put the rails in and before we take a look at the seat, even though I'm super excited to do so, I need to take a second and thank Jazz Performance. I found out about their product and I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I'd love to try this in my car because I think it's just the ultimate best of both worlds scenario and situation to put a bucket seat into a Miata. For those who do not know, Miatas are very small. There's only a few select seats that actually fit in the car. Then when I decided to go with the Sparaco, I found out that Jazz Performance makes an adapter that uses the OEM rails, and I knew I had to get them. This is not a paid product placement, but I just really enjoy the product and how you can use the OEM stuff and bolts right up. I just love simplicity, and this is simple. Let's take a look at the seat. All right, here we are with my first ever bucket seat. So this is a new Sparaco Sprint. We have kind of like a cloth, almost like an Alcantara on the whole seat pretty much. We got the holes for the harnesses, which we will be using. Now the one thing I'm worried about is that I won't fit in the seat. So let's find out. A little tight around the hips, but overall, I'm pretty comfortable. Now from my understanding and my thorough research, you can't fit a large Sparaco Sprint into the Miata, so this is the best you got. We'll get it in the car and talk a little bit more about fitment details. Now because this is a race car, I'm sure you guys are wondering one thing. The weight. Are we saving weight getting rid of this seat? And the answer is yes. Realistically, if you don't eat a cheeseburger one day, you'll most likely make up for the weight difference. All right, so let's mount up. If we're taking a look at the seat, this is going to be the tunnel side right here. I'm not doing just a dry fitting. This is how it's going to be. Coming over to this side, it's gonna look like this. You get a little picture guide. So I found an Allen key that's gonna do the trick. I unfortunately don't know the size. So these are going to go here and there. Look at that, adapter. Works perfectly. And now we take the nuts that were included with the adapters and we can put them on to the bottom of the seats here. Now we put them in the car. Simple, easy. Seat, lift, and place. Make sure to get the seatbelt buckle out of the way. And it's in. Just like that, it fits perfectly with the OEM rails, thanks to those adapters. Now let's bolt this back up. We got 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Key point to note before we test fit is the door card. So I obviously have aftermarket door cards, but they're still based off of the OEM ones, meaning this piece on top is the same. So if you come here and close, you still have space and you don't have any rubbing issues with the OEM card. The only thing you might have rubbing with is, if you still have the handle here, you might have to remove it. Just, oh, look at how good that looks. Now, Momo, Sparaco, we got a couple of brands going on here, but I really don't care, to be honest with you. I just think that looks amazing. Makes the stock side look super boring. Before and after. All right, so now we know fitment in the car is beautiful. Now we have to see fitment for me, because I'm a bigger person. I am above average. I mean, a couple inches above average, and the Miata is a small car. So we did the test fit at home, and slipping into the car, it's a little tight, but actually getting in the car, it's comfortable. There honestly isn't anything I can complain about, other than it riding a little high. Knees are still not hitting, which is great. With the OEM steering wheel and having the foamectomy, I was still rubbing my knees. And being a little taller, I am sitting a little taller than I would be with the foamectomy. If we look at stock height, stock seat is a little more. This is significantly more comfortable than a foamectomy, and overall I think it's a win. For those who are watching my video and wondering if this will work for your body and whatnot, because I know I searched forever. I looked and read up so many forums, so many YouTube comment sections. Will I fit in the car, and will the seat fit in the car? Now I'm gonna break this down for you guys a little bit and to see whether you guys are gonna fit in the seat and the seat fits in the car. So let's talk about fitment in the Miata first. And if you're about to say, well, it fit in the Miata, it fit, but if you do it a different way, it won't fit. So this is a regular size Sparaco Sprint. If you're not on the OEM rails and the OEM height, and you don't get adapters, and you decide to lower the seat, it seems like the seat will touch the trans tunnel if you drop it ever so slightly. Just barely if you do, which isn't the end of the world. You just gotta beat your trans tunnel, which also isn't the end of the world. The one thing I didn't want to do is, if I could get away with not beating the trans tunnel, perfect. I would have beat it though, that's not a big deal. I didn't want to beat the floor. The large will probably end up rubbing against the card, rubbing against this here, and looking at the other side, you don't have too much room here on this side either. And if you have an OEM card Well, looking on the bottom there, you're really running out of room. I was told in the second generation, the NB Miata, that the large will fit, but it will not fit in the NA, and that looks to be correct. Now let's talk about, will you fit in the seat? So I'm 6 foot 180, and I sit pretty comfortably in the seat. My waist is a 32, 33. If you have a waist that's bigger than 34, you're most likely gonna be pretty pinched in the seat. It's a little tight on me, it's a little snug, but it's not uncomfortable. I think if I lost like 10 pounds, 10 pounds, I would fit super comfortably in the seat. Now, the thing about bucket seat is it's supposed to hug you in your seat. That's why I say, if you have a 33 waist, if you weigh 190, 200 pounds, you should be able to fit in it. Height-wise, not a problem. Waist and weight are the things. You know, if you are a wider person, wider than probably 34 or 35, you're gonna have a tough time fitting in the seat, and I would highly recommend you try to sit in it. Now, I completely winged it. I read that if you're over a 30-inch waist, a 28-inch waist, if you're taller than 5'8", you're not gonna fit in it, which is not true whatsoever. There's some forums that say that. I'm 6 foot, 180, 32 waist, and I fit perfectly fine in it. If you don't want a ton of extra headroom, I don't know, in the Miata, I've never wanted the extra headroom. I've always been pretty comfortable, maybe because I have the foamectomy, but we're about to put the soft top up just to check headroom and fitment. Putting the soft top up, I still have enough room to have a helmet on in this car and still be comfortable. Now, I'm sitting super upright. Getting into a little bit of a slouch on how I would usually sit, maybe 8 inches above my head. The hardtop, I believe there's even a little bit more room. Helmet in the Miata, and I still have plenty of headroom. Maybe like half an inch on top. And the hardtop, I'd probably have like an inch. Now that being said, why don't I have 2 seats? I'll address this really quick. They're expensive. They're expensive, and I wanted to make sure the setup worked before I ordered 2 seats and was left with 2 seats that didn't work. Not only that, but like I said, they're expensive. So I might pick up a used seat for the passenger seat. I'll see what I do and what I decide. We're not sponsored by Sparaco, unfortunately, and I don't get any discount. I'm paying for the seats with my own money, which is a very good chunk of money. When it's coming, I don't know, but it's coming. We'll get a second seat before winter. If this video has aided you, make sure to subscribe, leave a like on this video. Stay tuned for more Miata mods. Stay tuned for part 3 on the Barn Find Miata. If you're not following that, make sure you do so. And I'll see you guys in the next video.